How are verbs related in math?
Yeah. So verbs are tricky. So the story I like to think of is I was visiting my sister who teaches K through 8 math. She's like a math specialist for
Hmm?
a K through 8 school, and we're hanging out with the kindergartners. And she was asked, just like making conversation with them. She's, "Oh, how old are you?" And they're mostly saying 5. And then she would say, "Oh, and how old will you be next year?" And you sort of figure, I don't know, like you ask me how old I'm going to be next year, I just add 1 to my age. I know what it's going to be. And some of the kindergartners did that, but some of them didn't. Some of them would go, "Oh, I'm 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6." And they had to sort of count again from 1, almost the way sometimes I feel like if you're blanking on the alphabet, like, wait, does Q come before R or after R? You just got to sing the whole song to get there. It was like that, but for numbers for them. And it was funny, what it highlighted for me was that even before you learn addition and subtraction and division and all that, incrementing, just adding 1, that's kind of like the simplest operation there is. Counting, starting at one place and going on to the next number. There's something there. And you sort of doing that repeatedly, that's what addition is, in the same way that like multiplication is repeated addition. And I thought that was cool. It was interesting to realize that at this stage of math where you think kids are just kind of memorizing the names of the numbers, there actually are processes that they're doing. There's, a verb is an action. And so that adding 1, that's a real action for them, and there's easier ways to do it and harder ways to do it, and they're kind of wrestling with that action. And then later, though, when you talk to a fourth grader, fifth grader, they don't have to do that. You say, "Okay, how old are you?" 10. How old are you going to be next year? They just say 11. It's not hard for them. uh, and so what's going on there is they've taken counting, going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and it doesn't have to be an action for them anymore. They can just jump straight to the outcome, right? They're like, "Oh, 10 add 1, it's going to be 11. I don't need to do all the counting." And even though that's pretty simple math when it comes down to it, I think most of us are pretty good with that. That's kind of the template for how math goes. You learn a process like addition or multiplication, and then what you have to do is you have to start, especially as you get into algebra, you sort of stop thinking about the process and start just looking at the outcome. So this is what's tough about algebra. You see 3 plus 5, and you say, "Okay, oh, it's 8." And you see 4 plus 9, you say, "Okay, 13." You see x plus y, and there's nothing to do. You're not supposed to do anything with x plus y. That's just 2 numbers added together, and we don't know yet what they are. They could be any numbers. And one of the things I like to do with students is try to get them to see numbers that way. If you see 10 plus 8, you could call that 18. That's another name for that. But you can also just call it 10 plus 8. That's a perfectly fine name for that number. Same as in English, the equivalent would be like, you can say a dog and a cat, or you can say 2 pets. Then those are 2 ways of saying the same thing, but you don't have to. It's not like if someone says a dog and a cat, you immediately have to say, "Oh, 2 pets." No one's demanding that you paraphrase it. And that's the same as 10 plus 8. When you see 10 plus 8, like, actually, that's just a number. That's fine the way it is.
Got you.